Hey guys, welcome to today's episode. And I'm so excited to introduce you to Steve Q. Wiltshire. And he has made fitness, health, and mindset a priority for 3 decades. And just so you know, he won the Mr. Oregon bodybuilding competition. And then right after, he developed an autoimmune disease. And it originated from like all kinds of gut issues and almost ruined his health. So he is a keynote speaker. He's an author. He's a mindset coach. He's the founder of Body, Temple, Health, and Wellness. And we are so excited to have you with us. Welcome, Steve.
We're going to have a lot of fun today.
We always know
they're in the right place.
Yeah, we always have fun when we're together. So I want you to tell listeners a little bit more about how you healed yourself from autoimmune issues.
Yeah. Hey, let's just circle back. We were on a podcast, several months ago, right?
Yes.
And we both resonated with one another, and we have developed this friendship. And what I want everybody to hear is Chantel is all about impact in the world, making a huge impact. And you always think through that lens, your own journey, and then how that relates to supporting people. And then how do I say this? Your rigorous conviction around truth and helping people look within and to connect with the soul. What we both know is that the soul is always 2 steps ahead of us. It's always guiding us. Often we depend on our mind or our logic, and that's going about life the wrong way. We're living in a one-dimensional world instead of a multi-dimensional world. Just today, with everything going on this week, I had a couple of thoughts. One left me, and all I had to say is, God, that was an important thought. Bring that back, please. And 1 minute later, there was that thought. And so when we're guided on a spiritual journey, we start noticing the ideal people show up, the ideal situations, the ideal resources. And you notice that you're guided in a whole different direction. And that's what I love about you. And I just want everybody to know you are in the right place listening to this podcast right now. It's not by chance. It's not by happenstance. It's by destiny.
Well, I feel the same way about you. Every time I'm with you, I feel extremely energized. I feel like we're so aligned on so many things. So, we're basically here. If you didn't get a chance to listen to our first interview, go ahead and go back and listen to that one for sure. But I want to just briefly tell them, kind of some of the steps, and I want you to be as practical as possible. Like I love for people to hear like your daily routines on things that you do, because it makes a big difference. Yeah,
we're going to go into Chantel and I've talked about like what did we really want to bring forth to this interview today, and in all of that, to guide people to really understand that inflammation is the enemy of the body. And so we're going to go into a lot of practices and talk about that. But to kind of recap on that first interview, and I always like to look at it through the lens of anybody that's hearing my story. Like, what does my story maybe mean to you? So everything that I thought I was doing was ideal. Everything that I had learned from my journey of health, but I wasn't plugged into functional medicine. I didn't know what that was. And that wasn't really a big thing going back several years ago, going back to like right around 2006, 2007. And so I really had no signs leading up to my illness. I'm thinking everything that I'm doing is great. I look great on the outside. I feel great on the inside. I just remember having dinner with my son one night. We're in a vegan restaurant, and all of a sudden my stomach was just bloated. Like I looked at him and I said, I think I need to go into urgent care. And I stood up and I brought my shirt up, and my son, who was 12 years old, he's like, dude, what happened to your abs? And I ended up calling my doctor the next day and got in and had these tests, and they came back. I was fine. And I'm like, how can that be? Like, that's the difference between functional medicine and modern medicine, right? And so the good news is my son's mom, who's a tight friend and the co-founder of Body, Temple, Health, and Wellness, had been on this journey to heal herself from 3rd stage cancer. And I'll never forget the time we just sat down and she told Quinn and I she had third stage cancer and she was going to heal herself. And I kept looking back and forth to both of them. And in my mind, I'm like, how does she passes away? How does she doesn't live through this? I didn't know anything about it. So she had taken the time to go to Hypocrites Clinic in Southern Florida, which is definitely the number one clinic for healing in the US. And she learned a whole regimen of living. And to look at her today at 60 years old and the health that she has, and she didn't not only heal herself once, she healed herself twice. Now she went off track about 6 years into the game. And so I just started following these practices. And what I find ironic, for years, I just was a carb and a meat guy. Back then when Lynn and I were married, she just didn't cook or make. We know cooking isn't vegetation, right? But she didn't make meals. And so at the best, I would get some green salad in a teriyaki chicken, right? And I just want to say that sometimes we're dealt, this is so important for you to hear, that sometimes we're dealt with inheriting disease. Gosh, I'm going to be very careful about this. We have genetics. And what trumps genetics is the mind, that we can actually heal ourselves from the mind and belief. And that spills over into this one-dimensional world where we're just making really wise decisions. So I got to a point where my body just wanted greens. And after healing myself, 18 months of just rigorous changes. And bottom line is I had developed a serious case of candida. And when you start to study autoimmune, on the upper end, you're going to have MS. On the lower end, you're going to have celiacs. And it's going to start from toxins in your body and candida. The gut is the engine of the mind. So that was pretty much my journey. Is I just started to change my life. And I really believe that autoimmune is a condition. There are diseases that are definitely a disease, but autoimmune is a condition. What do I mean by that? Anyone can heal themselves from autoimmune, but when you don't pay attention to it, what starts to happen in your life is that you start to contract other diseases. And then if you get on pharmaceutical drugs to correct the problem, what happens is your receptors aren't connecting. It's just like being on a steroid. You feel great for a while, but those connectors, those receptors aren't connecting. So when those receptors aren't connecting, you're masking the problem and the body doesn't know how to heal itself. And 14% of you are walking around with parasites. It's a big deal. You go to a doctor, you even say, I think I have parasites. They run some tests. It comes back negative. You go to a functional medicine, naturopath. They run the tests and come back and say you have parasites. So parasites also start to support the contraction of bacteria in the body, just like a pond that you can't get clear because there's so much fungus in it. There's that balance. It's fascinating, isn't it?
It really is. So tell us some of the things that you have done that you've implemented in your weekly regime that you say, I know that if I want to reduce my inflammation, I need to do this, 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 and this.
I'm going to start with mindset. So, my story, first of all, I spent a lot of money on supplements. I remember being 27, hating my body, not happy with it, and making a decision, I'm going to get in shape. I was a smoker. I drank coffee, alcohol. And I just made this decision that I was going to get in shape. Now it was about, almost 14 years later that I contracted this autoimmune disease. But so I ended up going to this. Back then you didn't have like 24-hour fitnesses. You just had these little gyms. And I ended up going to this gym that all had bodybuilders. And I just kind of got pulled into that way of thinking, eating these foods that, for example, keto, that are extreme. They're just extremely rough on your body and your kidneys. And so I'm, eating meat and It looks good, but it doesn't sit well. And so I'm 43 years old and I'm on this, regiment. I'm taking all these supplements. And then, my friends are saying, you got to do a bodybuilding show before you get older, man. You just need to do a bodybuilding show. I wasn't really interested in that. But at one point I thought, gosh, you know what? Why not? Why not make this more than a bodybuilding show? I'm going to be in the best shape of my life, physically, mentally, spiritually. And keynote speaker. I do seminars. I did for many, many years. I was an entrepreneur coach. I worked with a lot of executives, and so far out of the health range, it was like me traveling all over the U.S. Working 70, 80 hours a week doing these huge retreats. And I thought, why not? But what I loved about that, this is what I want all of you to hear. Most of you will never make those changes unless you say yes to yourself. And so I created boundaries around everything that I had done and made a decision. It was non-negotiable. I was going to take care of myself. I was going to do my cardio. I was going to do all my health regimen before I did my work. It wasn't like it was a ton of hours, but I just made those decisions. What I realized, it was the only thing, first time in my life that I realized it was the only thing in my life that I could control. My staff made a move, it affected me. My son, wife made a move, it affected me. What I realized, the reason I was so high during those 12 weeks is I was honoring my core values. And I thought, man, this is amazing. Like, it's the only thing in my life that I had control over. And it started changing my mindset to realize that, wow, all we can really control is our thoughts, our attitude, and disposition. Many of you that are listening to this podcast and just haven't gotten on that wagon or that journey to take charge of your health, body, and mindset, it's because you allow circumstantial power to get in your way. When I started learning personal power and operating from personal power, not caring what circumstance was being led to me, all I had is the choice at the end of the day. So that's really what mindset's all about. And so leading up to these shows, I'm taking $800 a month in supplements, and my naive mind thinking supplements are pure. I didn't realize that 93% of the supplements on the market had toxins in it. 87% are owned by a pharmaceutical drug company disguised as a supplement company. And that's what supported my gut to collapse. It basically collapsed. And so happens with the gut, man, it will take a lot. And then all of a sudden it just doesn't work. And then these keto diets that I was on that were just, major harsh on my body. Well, if you're younger and you're listening to this, your body can sustain itself for quite a while, but good luck into your 40s. And we're seeing that with people in their 30s now. Functional medicine is huge. And so many people that have contracted autoimmune. I'm going to circle back and just say, kind of on a rampage, but I'm going to stay here for a second, that depression and anxiety is a huge connection with the gut. And from March 2020 till current, we have had such excess amounts of people on pharmaceutical drugs that are antidepressants. And so if I look at like what was my end to play with it, right? Taking supplements that I had no idea had chemicals in them. And second, I didn't have depression, but I sure had anxiety and nobody knew it. I did not know how to deal with that until I started to meditate. That's what this journey supported for me. And third, I did not know and understand the value of focusing on greens, focusing on natural food. And so if you and I are having a conversation, so simply said, and you said to me, what would you do if you were me to change what I'm doing, to take my health to another level? It's simple. Sweat every day. You sweat externally, you sweat internally. Bikram yoga is a good example, both cardio sweating internally. Externally would be asana. Second, go green. 90% of what you put in your body is green, right? I'm a sprouter. I intermittent fasting, which we know Chantel is all about. More than that even, right? Like, gosh, Yeah, we'll get into that. But the only thing that I eat in the morning is a 35-ounce green smoothie that's just packed with nutrition and diminished sugar. So there's literally no sugar except for fruit in my health regimen. And when you keep things simple, when you start with those three umbrellas, we don't have to get into all these complications, except for those people that say, well, I want variety. You got to learn how to do things differently. You're going to notice that we have a lot of resources for you. We have a whole body temple. We got a program I'll lead you to in a little bit. It's free. But we have this gut detox manual with all these recipes. We can show you how to make a chocolate mousse with absolutely no sugar in it. That tastes just like chocolate mousse. What is it? Essential oils and really healthy sweeteners.
Ladies, are you feeling completely stressed and completely overwhelmed by life right now? Well, join the club. I'm feeling that way too. But if you're having trouble just feeling like you can't lose weight, the scale's not moving, and if any of this sounds like you, I want to just ask you about your magnesium, because magnesium is involved in so many different processes in the body, and some of the things that it does, it really helps calm your nervous system so you can feel happy and relaxed. It helps your blood sugar, it helps your blood pressure, and it actually helps with burning fat. It also is involved in your hormones. So like if you're struggling with PMS or menopause symptoms, that is something you want to look at too. And the stats are out. There's different stats that say that up to 80% of women aren't getting enough magnesium. So if you're stressed, you actually need more magnesium, and then you go into this vicious cycle. So that's why I'm excited to talk to you about Bioptimizers. They have created an incredible formula called Magnesium Breakthrough. I'm taking it every night. It's so funny. Even my husband's like, babe, can I have some of that Magnesium Breakthrough by Bioptimizers? I'm like, yes, babe. And I just pass it over to him. And so this month, they're including free bottles of their full line of digestive health products on select orders. Go to magbreakthrough.com/wasteaway. That's magbreakthrough.com/wasteaway and enter the code wasteaway for an additional 10% off. So one of the things that I feel like I do want to address is stress, because I feel like for me personally, it's funny because one of my girlfriends said to me, she's like, I feel like you are the healthiest person that I know. And she's like, and still you have some autoimmune issues. And, it's like you can have kind of your health dialed in and your eating dialed in and all these things dialed in. But, living without stress is impossible, but you can deal with it more effectively and kind of learning some calming strategies. So what have you kind of put into place to kind of reduce the stress that you have in your life? Because all of us have stress that we have to deal with. But if I personally am getting to the point where I think that figuring that piece out is the most important thing. And then right after that is, okay, what am I putting in my body? Am I sweating? Am I, and going through? Do you have any kind of stress busters that you are doing right now?
Beautifully said. You're tapped in, tuned in. Yeah, the hacks. You think about them, they're like hacks, health hacks. When I made a decision years ago that nobody gets my day, nobody gets my morning but me and God, everything changed. Would I like it to be 45 minutes? Yes. Has it been that way for the last couple of months? A lot happening in my life? No. But I start off my day with meditation. Now, that word has mixed feelings with people because they've tried to calm their mind. They don't necessarily know how. If you study Joe Dispenza, who is one of the most leading change agents in the world, YouTube, Joe Dispenza, oh my gosh, talk about how, the mind, everything is about training the brain, how to think. How do you change what you want out of your life? You train your brain. So I start off my day with meditation. Well, what does that mean? First of all, I'm going to say meditation is doing the thing that you love to do. That real meditation, the essence of meditation, is doing the things that you love to do that you lose track of time, whether it's playing the guitar, going for a walk, exercising, whatever, right? But when you start to put together a practice to meditate, you're going to see transformation in your life. So in the early stages for me, it was simple. I would go to YouTube and look for a guided meditation, and I would listen to meditation. I'd be guided. I learned breath work. And then when it started to advance, I started to leverage my time. What does that mean? I do 5 charger baths a week where I'm listening to my favorite guided meditations. After a while, when you listen to many, you're going to notice the ones that resonate with your soul. And sometimes I know the Holy Spirit is telling me, no, you're just going to breathe. You're just going to process. And if I'm not in a good space, I'm going to go into a gratitude rampage. What does that mean? You just start saying, thank you, God, for, thank you, God, for, thank you, God, for. So I'm in a charger bath with magnesium, essential oils, baking soda, food grade peroxide that's pumping my body with oxygen, and either listening to guided meditation, or I am on a rampage of processing thoughts that are going to elevate my energy so I can go out and be my best in the world. And then we have 4 commonalities: relationships, spiritual, we'll say career, and physical. And so I've written affirmations that are important to me in, for example, relationships and in my career. Like one of my favorites is, these are just general, everything's working out for me, or good things are always working out for me. I'm going to enjoy my life no matter what. People matter more than things. I'm a business owner. I've got a lot of staff. And sometimes I'm like, damn it, did that happen? Did that happen? And man, you got to back up. Like, you train your brain how to think. So after my meditation, I'm stretching and reading my affirmations, reminding me of where I'm headed. Got a whole program on that. Once you plug into the Body Temple community, by the way, the free gift, just write this down if you need to leave early. It's in the show notes, but it's bodytemplekickstart.com, bodytemplekickstart.com. It's a 15-day program to really shift your thinking and to step into 15 days of taking your health, taking charge of your health, body, and mindset. We'll talk more about that.
Well, you are a great leader. And, if you're listening to this and you are a leader and you are under a lot of stress, I always like to tell people, that leadership is lonely. And you get your tail chopped off a lot of times. People say it's lonely at the top, and it's true. There is a price that you have to pay in order to be a leader. And people all the time are like, well, how did you get to where you are? And I go, you don't know the price that you have to pay to be in an upper level leadership position. And you have a vision and you have a calling, but you do get hit and you do get struck and you get knocked down. And it's just like boom, boom, boom. And I came home from work after having a really bad day yesterday. And my husband was like, how was your day? And I was like, terrible. And he's like, man, do you just feel like you got your tail cut off? And my son came in and said the craziest thing. He was like, well, if you are a lizard and your tail falls off, it grows right back. Oh. And I was like, what? And I never had heard that before. So I was like, no way, that can't be true. So I ran to YouTube and I saw this video, and the guy was talking about the lizards have the ability to detach their tails on purpose. And it's crazy. He was talking about how he grabbed this lizard and he pulled the lizard, and the tail fell off, and it was kind of like a just kind of wiggling around, and it detached, and then it just grows back. And lizards detach their tails to help them escape from predators. And I was thinking, you know what? That is a strong leader. Like, as a strong leader, you need to be able to get your tail chopped off and it's going to grow right back. And it just changed my whole attitude yesterday. I'm like, my son, and how did he even know that? I'm like, he's like, yeah, Mom, you didn't know. When you chop off a lizard's tail, it just grows right back. I just couldn't believe it. It was like really encouraging for me yesterday, for
Let's
sure.
just stay there for a second. So even in the midst of circumstances, when you can train your brain, it starts off logical because you come up with these affirmations that shift your thinking, right? I'm attracting the ideal people, situations, and education that's helping me on my journey of health. And this is just what happens in that 5-dimensional world. It wasn't by chance. Her husband asked her a question. It's called grace. And then Chantel responds, and then her son responds. And so when you believe in favor and you believe in, I call it the law of allowing, you open the portals to attract the ideal situations and people instead of like the stress that you feel, like, how am I going to figure this out? How am I going to figure this out? It falls under fear instead of love. When you just start to train your brain, because when you think about it, a lot of you, the reason you might not be getting what you want, you have not created an environment for transformation. So my greatest example of that, if a couple isn't doing well, they're not going to wish their marriage or partnership to get better. That's just not going to work. You don't wish things to get better. You got to take action. That's your part. And so they're going to go to counseling, or they're going to go to Marriage Encounter, or they're going to take an online program, and they're going to learn skills by experts that are going to support their marriage or partnership transforming. You have to have an environment for change. If you want to get physically fit, or you want to learn a program to change how you eat, you plug into some kind of environment, even if it's a self-study program. Well, what's our environment to elevate ourselves to be in the best possible state of mind that we can offer ourselves at the greatest capacity? It's your miracle morning ritual. So I've got a program called Miracle Morning Ritual. And once you plug into, when you register for bodytemplekickstart.com, you will be sent a link to our 15-day detox program. That's so much more than that. And what that comes down to is helping you make a decision you're ready for change. And then we show you how to create a plan. And we have 3. Everybody's on a different level. And then we show you how to shift your poor habits to ideal habits and notice your triggers. Well, what does that mean? Many of you, when you make a decision, that's when the hurdles come up in your race. And you're going to notice that that's the time that you start realizing you've been sabotaging yourself for a long time. And you got to train your brain how to think differently. And so your habits take a while. And then physically you have serotonin and dopamine that, whether it's alcohol or that favorite food or that favorite drive-through that you go to, that thing that tries to get in your way. And that's where the journey takes place. So that's why we created this program to help people jumpstart into a 15-day program that gets them started. And then the process that we offer goes way beyond that. But it starts with this 15-day Kickstart Detox program that supports you in designing a plan to get ahead. Yeah.
So give us, and your program is amazing, and you guys definitely need to all check it out, but give them a glimpse of it. Give them a glimpse of like the top 4 things that you tell them to do in the program. Give them kind of an insight so they can kind of get an idea of what they're getting into.
Yeah. So I like to talk about umbrellas because we can go into so many details. And the reason it took, I've been on about 350 podcasts, and I've had a lot of the podcasters opt in for it and come back and say, oh my gosh, this is amazing. It took us 8 months to figure this out because we started to think about like the regimens that we have. Lynn and I'm talking about Lynn who healed herself from cancer, and realized, most people just can't do that. We know that they just can't do it. And so at first, the first and most important part is that you're going to get 3 suggested plans to take charge of your health, body, and mindset. For that, it's really long term, but we start off with like 15 days. And you might need that elementary plan. And then some of you, you're really sick and you need to go with that more elevated plan. So first, we're going to set you up with a plan, because what most people don't want is they don't want to figure it out. They want to come up with a plan, and then we show you how to be with that plan. Second, you're going to learn why the gut is the engine of the body. When you make good health decisions and you make that your top priority, your physiology is going to change. It doesn't matter what you got going on as far as disease. When you heal your gut, everything starts to change. It is the mind of the body. And then you're going to learn practices on consistent detoxing. Like, I know that if I would not have gotten into a sauna, I'm going to tell you what happened to me last night at 7:30 I barely got through my workout. It was a very stressful day. We talked about stress being truly one of the number one reasons people contract disease. And so I went to the gym, had a very average workout. I never listened to instrumental music at the gym. I did. And then I stretched and I went into the sauna for 20 minutes. Well, for me, I can sweat in 3 minutes. People always say to me, God, how do you sweat so quick? Like, oh my gosh, like, how they usually ask how old I am. I'm 58. And they're like, dude, you're like ripped. But it's really from my mind. So I sweat, and then I walked in the water for about 5 minutes, but I left and I was able to come home for 3 hours and just do what I needed to do, sweating. So you learn detoxing, not just sweating, but detoxing, and then how to shift your poor habits to ideal habits to notice your triggers, because that's what happens in this journey. This is why people fail, as they start to go down that path. And then because they made a decision, they're aware where they're sabotaging it. Man, that's painful. It's so painful. And so it's easier to say, I'm not going to deal with this, because to sabotage and see you're sabotaging diminishes your confidence and esteem. And then you need a detox product. Well, if you start this journey for 15 days, it comes down to 2 things. What's in your realm of control, and what are you doing to detox? And meaning, better said, heal your gut. So what happened for me in my journey is I couldn't find a 100% chemical-free product. And so I found a formulator that could make me a chemical-free product. And we only specialize in 3 products: a gut detox, and a probiotic, a pre-probiotic that's amazing, 5 billion spores. And then my digestive enzymes. And I have been on 17 podcasts. They have found me, and they have found me online and said, your product is 100% chemical free. I want you. They're hackers. They expose all these companies that have these products that have chemicals in them. So we offer you 35% off that detox formula to go into that 15 days. So not only is that supporting you internally, the choices that are externally. So that's supporting you externally, and then the choices you're making internally are helping you get on that pathway. So we want to see you jumpstart your health, body, and mindset within 15 days. And once you see that start to happen, that's where the momentum starts to take place. And within that, we've got a gut detox manual. We've got a body temple shopping guide. We've got a body temple recipes. We've just got all these, we'll say downloads and resources and ebooks that you'll have access to in a private library. It's super cool. By the way, bodytemplekickstart.com. When you go to that page, you'll see, what's my language, Steve? Unfortunately, email is not always reliable. Enter your cell number and we'll text it to you. We get about 300, 400 emails support every week that say I didn't get the link. And it's because email is just not reliable anymore. So we can text it to you.
I want to talk to you guys today about brain fog and difficulty focusing. It seems like everybody right now is having trouble recalling names and dates and where you left things. So if that's you, I've got some good news for you. Newtopia, which is powered by Bioptimizer, has created this new product called Collagenius. It actually has collagen, cocoa, cacao, and 4 different kinds of mushrooms. And this really helps fight brain fog. So I've tried it. I really like it. It's actually sweetened with stevia. And so it kind of tastes like a rich chocolate elixir. And you just literally make it with water or any kind of dairy-free milk, or if you like regular milk, you could do that. And if you want, you can actually mix it with your morning coffee. And so it's kind of like a mood-boosting mocha. And there's no risk. Like if you don't like it, it's a 365-day full money-back guarantee. So go to newtopia.com/wasteawaygenius and use wasteaway10 during the checkout. Yeah. And I love that you are such a passionate about the infrared sauna, and really for any detox to be effective, the body's drainage pathways have to be cleared out of toxins, waste, pathogens, right?
Yeah, lymph. And although I do have a infrared sauna, like last night, I was in the public, I was in the electric sauna. That isn't as effective, but you know what? You don't have access to a sauna and you don't even think that you want to work out. To pump into or to get into 24-hour fitness, we can get just a reasonable monthly program. They've got a sauna, they've got a pool. Some of you that know you just can't move very well. The greatest thing you can do is focus on resistant training. What is that? Just moving in water. You're older. You just can't imagine working out. Well, man, just walking in water. So we see a lot of old people that have cardiac issues. They have heart issues. They have circulation. They have diabetes. I have had a couple clients that were supposed to get a leg amputated. And I just said, ask them if you can buy 3 weeks and get in water, start walking 45 minutes in water, 7 days a week. And Paul, forgot his last name, but man, he's on a 1.5 years. He was supposed to get his leg amputated. He's in a journal, a medical journal. That's what a big deal it is. All he did is drink for 50 years and smoke for 50 years, didn't even drink a lot of water. He drank soda. And when he made that decision, when they knew he was going to amputate his leg, I said, walk in water, man. His wife just went with him 45 minutes. He walked in water. Veins started, all these new veins started creating, the arteries started getting clear. There's so much shit we can do on our own, but you're not going to hear that. You're going to hear that. They want to cut off your leg. They want to get you the chemo. That's just how they're trained. And that's what they do. They give you pharmaceutical drugs in modern medicine and functional medicine. To study functional medicine, you're going to realize, there's a new way of doing it. And it actually works. Now, I'm not saying that medical is not important, but it's partnering and bridging both of them. And I can tell you, food heals. So I have 3 products. That's mainly all I take, except for vitamin C, liposomal vitamin C, glutathione. Once a month, I go to my naturopath and I get an IV pumped with nutrition. And so that's why I'm able to operate in 70, 80 hours a week and still have time for everything else. A lot of my friends, how do you get so much done? I'm 58 years old, man. You get older, things start to change, especially in your physiology with hormones. My blood work looks amazing, but it's like non-negotiable. I won't give up that time. I did want to say that part of when I healed myself, my inflammation in my face, like I was looking through my phone and I saw these pictures of me. And I thought, God, I have just gotten used to this inflammation in my face. And anyway, I ended up, got a really good friend that is a leading expert in the CBD department. And God, it was just by chance. I hadn't seen her for a couple of years and went to see her. She's like a sister. I've known her since I've been 14 years old. And I knew she had the CBD line. It wasn't like she was pushing it. She brought it up and I went to see her. And God, and I knew all about her journey, but I just didn't register it. Like, she has created this CBD line that's over the top. And in 2 months, all my inflammation started. I still had inflammation in my blood work, man, but my lab test, but it wasn't going away. But I walked into, she's very, very successful. And I walked into her office and I saw this huge whiteboard. I'm like, what is this? It looked like geometry. And she said, here's my protocol for healing diabetes. Here's my protocol for healing autoimmune. Here's my protocol for healing cancer. I mean, she was led by spirit. So here's this woman with a multi-million-dollar business in global media. That's the name of her company. Gets in a car accident, hit by a drunk driver head on, a legal immigrant, in the hospital for 2.5 months. They said she would never walk. Tons of mindset, man, and spirit. And she did, but she went to rehab every day. And they said, your spine is so compromised. I mean, I had to build I had to put in a chest plate. She broke, her neck, everything, man, it was awful. And so she searched for how she could heal her spine. And back then, 12 years ago, CBDs were not as fluent in US. So bottom line is, she bought a product, didn't work. Bought another product, didn't work. She took it to a lab. They said, what they say is in this product. Still today, the BS with like labs working with CBD companies to pay them off. The FDA don't have that time. So she found the top formulator in the world. She flew to New Zealand. She ended up having to purchase a lot of product to get at discounts. Like, I'm going to be taking this for the rest of my life. And she's around all these stars. Like, I remember like the Judds, and, she just did all the duplication for these, celebrities. And she would hear people that were going through illness, and she would pick up she would just say, here, try this. And all of a sudden these people were coming back and saying, oh my God, what is this? And so she ended up formulating her own product. And it started with cannabis, but it ended up going like transitioning into hemp, because they have the same value. And so without going into detail, I interviewed her. The interview took my freaking breath away. Everybody, like, it was so amazing. And what to look for before you purchase a CBD, and why CBDs heal the body. And you will notice it's in the show notes. It's the very second link. You'll see that. She has gotten the Jack Hare Award for the last 3 years for the purest CBD oil and salve in the US. And it's because, man, these companies abstract the product, the cannabis or hemp, with alcohol, butane, ether. Just to maximize the extraction. She would never do that. Like, you will learn so much about what to look for before you buy a product, and how these labels say 500 milligrams of what. Like, it's crazy, but it's a phenomenal interview. And those of you that are dealing with inflammation, you were going to talk about that. Let's spend time. I want to hear from you, because we were talking, that was like the main focus of like, how do we diminish inflammation, which is the enemy that causes all these ill health issues.
Yeah, one thing I want to talk about real quick is, because anytime we talk about sauna, I literally will get like a bunch of questions. Everyone emails in. They're like, can you explain the difference between the traditional sauna and infrared sauna? I'll tell you what I think it is, and then I'll let you chime in. But from what I understand, traditional saunas basically heat the air first. So it takes more time to raise your body's core temperature and achieve that cellular detox. And that's the whole thing that you want, is cellular detox. And so if the air is, higher temperatures, some people just can't stay in there that long. So the infrared lamps have like an electromagnetic radiation, and it kind of warms your body, not the air. And so some people can feel like, okay, I can stay in the infrared sauna a lot longer than I can a traditional one. So if you can stay in there longer and it causes your body to sweat more, then that's going to mean that it's going to clear out the drainage drainage pathways of the skin. And by the way, which I always remind everyone, the skin is the body's largest drainage pathway. And so if you can flush out toxins through your lymphatic system, through your skin, obviously that's going to make a bigger impact. So what would you say if someone said, I mean, I'm not joking. I get that question all the time because everyone's like, I don't understand. What's the difference between an infrared sauna and a regular sauna? Do you get that question a lot?
I'm laughing because we'll have a little bit of fun here, but I tanned for years. Like, and I was with like my girlfriend at 16, worked at head to toes. It was like one of the first tanning, and I ended up getting skin cancer, just a little bit. Mm-hmm. And my naturopath, dermatologist looked at me and she said, "You're selling your boat. You're selling your boat, or you don't get to come here anymore. You are selling your speedboat. You do not get in the sun anymore." And I just said, "But I've always been dark." Even when I was younger, my mom said I would look at Hispanics or Blacks and I'd say, "I want to be dark like them." And she goes, "Shh." But I just, for some reason, always like being dark. So I ended up being led to a blueberry mystic tan, which is 100% chemical free. And they always laugh because I come in like 3-4 days a week. And then, they're like, "Why do you come in so much?" I said, "Because I'm in a sauna every day." So, it goes away, in a couple of days. But she hit it dead on. Right now, you can buy infrared saunas lower than ever before. Like, I spent so much more on mine than what I see online. But, it's still okay to get in an electric sauna if that's all you can afford, and then rev up your game, save some money, and get an infrared sauna in your house. Or, if you find a location that's definitely more expensive, but man, you can go into a 24 Fitness or LA Fitness or there's many, and just get into a sauna. But you hit it dead on. I noticed with my infrared sauna, I start to sweat more where my lymph nodes are. I can feel it. It is a different kind of sweat, but at least you get the same. We'll just say you sweat at least when you get into an electric sauna.
Well, let's talk about sleep for just a second, because, lack of sleep can cause inflammation as well.
Yeah.
And I want you to talk about how much sleep are you getting a night, and what are you doing that helps you to sleep at night?
It's so interesting because I have worked, my history is I've been an executive coach, author, and keynote speaker, seminars. I've done almost 3,000 seminars in my 25 years in that career. And not quite there now. Like, things have changed for me with my passion being health and wellness. And but in all of that, what I noticed during my journey, I'm going to say my later part of my journey with working with executive clients, we talked about high profile people, right? Leaders, that they just could not turn off their mind. And these are clients that, would pay me $20,000 a year to work with them, right? So I would send them a bottle of of the Body Temple also has, I would just say that Sheila formulated CBDs for us. And I wanted maximum milligrams so that they could just take it instead of 3 times a day, twice a day. And so I would send my clients a bottle of it, and they would say, "Oh my gosh, the first time I took it, I slept like a baby." And then, just out of curiosity, I would say, did you wake up clear? Did you feel like it was an Excedrin PM, or like you had 3 glasses of wine? How did you wake up? I woke up happy. And so what I can tell you, it's the number one outcome that people get is that it brings the body into homeostasis. So I do acupuncture at least twice a week. And what I can tell you about acupuncture is it brings your body into that homeostasis, but so does CBDs. That's the goal, is to get the body to start to function at its greatest capacity, especially when you're dealing with some kind of external circumstance, disease or condition. And so I have, there's 2 things. First of all, I maybe get 6 hours of sleep, 6.5 hours of sleep a night. I always take one nap a day. And my nap is maybe 12 to 15 minutes. I fall asleep within a minute. I will pull my car over if I'm in between and notice that I'm starting to lose energy. And I learned breath work. I learned how to train my brain just to focus on my breathing. So I have a little pillow in my car, put my seat back. But that's the reason I got sick. And it was my first coach that I hired. I've worked with a coach every year since I've been 33 years old. So 25 years now. And that first coach recognized that I was always getting sick. And so she's the one that taught me breath work. And so ironically, I've just been able to sleep. Sometimes when I'm super stressed out and if I'm home, I would just go lay down and I set my alarm on my phone for sometimes 20 minutes. If I know I'm pretty taxed, or 15, I always wake up before. Like I wake up before it goes off and then my phone goes off and I'm like, oh, that's weird. I've been up for like 5 minutes. I'm always so surprised with that. I'm like, God, I felt completely asleep, but I sleep on my face, kind of like on my pillow. And I even slobber sometimes within like just 10 minutes of sleep. But see, that's the goal, to get your body into homeostasis. And many of you, I want to use the F word. I'm not, but I'm going to say you are friggin' with your body. Your mind is like, just keep going. Just keep going. You don't have a hack. You're controlling your body. And then your body is your cortisol levels off because you're challenging your body when you shouldn't, man. And if it's severe, I'm canceling whatever I've got to get myself back in that state, because you cannot operate effectively. And some of you that might not think I'm not a leader. Yeah, you are. You got 3 kids at home. You got 3 kids at home under 6, and that's your leadership. That's what you do. Raising 3 children to be change agents in the world and to love their life and to model for other people. It's the greatest gift we give, right?
So if you've been enjoying the show, please give us a review on Apple Podcast or whatever platform you're listening to. Take a screenshot of it and email it to questions@chantelrayway.com. The first 15 people who do that will get an amazing free gift. You will get an exclusive interview of the Thin Eaters and what they do to stay thin and make sure they stay in trim top shape. Go to Apple Podcasts, take a snapshot of it, email it to questions@chantelrayway.com, and I'll send you your gift. And if you don't feel like making the review and you want to pay $79 to get this video, it is well worth it. Just go to chantelrayway.com and download it and buy it. I also want to mention, I think another huge thing is getting rid of all vegetable oil. And, people think, oh, well, vegetable oil is made of vegetables. No, vegetable oil is not made of vegetables. Absolutely not. Instead, it's made with a variety of seeds like soybean, corn, safflower, sunflower, peanut. And what's really bad about them is that the chemical and heat processes and the techniques that they use in the factories is just so bad. And it is just so bad for your health. And, if you can figure out, the more I read about how bad the vegetable oils are and how highly inflammatory they are. And if you think about like going to fast food restaurants, like they do nothing but cook in, these highly inflammatory vegetable oils, and it raises our omega-6 to omega-3 fatty acid ratios. And that's what gives us really, really bad consequences. And so I just want to encourage you, if there's one thing, is to figure out whatever oil that you are using, either olive oil, avocado oil, or coconut oil. That's really the only 3 oils that I use. Is there anything you want to chime in on that?
I was going to say, like, olive oil is amazing, but not over 105 degrees, right? So meaning that's when you start to get educated. Like coconut oil you can heat to whatever temperature, right? So you're absolutely right. Like it's canola, man, it's like, oh God, Not good. Not good. Yeah, you nailed it. Absolutely.
And let's talk about anything else, like maybe the red light therapy. Is there anything else that you do? I do the red light therapy at least 3 to 4 times a week, and I feel like that really helps with my skin issue. Anything else that you're doing on a weekly or monthly basis that's kind of getting rid of the toxins?
You're going to all find your regimens that are ideal for you. When it comes down to it, I'm not a guy that, even though I love everything that I eat, I don't need flavor. I don't need it to be
and I do.
Yeah,
see, that's where we differ, because I like it to taste really, really good.
Well, it's like Lynn and I talked about like our salads, like my quinoa salad, like it's just over the top and it tastes amazing.
What's in it? You got to tell us what's in it.
You know what? Just time, because I have a conference call coming up in 2 minutes. You're going to notice when you go to bodytemplekickstart.com and register, you're going to have access to my quinoa salad. Got so many recipes. It's all in the Kickstart Detox manual. With right at the bottom, like man, Lynn and I put our heart and soul into that ebook. It took us 8 months, man, to write that and go back, and like, you would not believe it is by far, so many podcasters have said, the best resource I've ever read on health, with a plan, with a strategy, right? And I'm just going to mention to you, some of you probably need some help, like with a coach. And when you go to bodytemplekickstart.com, I'm just going to say it. Here's where many of you are going to, I want to say fail, but I'm going to say not succeed. You're interested and you're not writing it down or putting it in your notes in your phone, or you forget to go back. You can't help yourself if you don't follow through. You got to be of integrity with your word. You need a system, man. That's why I posted notes of everywhere to like take that camera, like just this morning, like they're all gone by the end of the day. They go somewhere, but you wouldn't believe how many posted notes. It's 5:30 a.m., man. They were just like, okay, just got to get those down, man. And because you got to create your own roadmap. But I will tell you what you'll see is this video. It's 43 minutes of a wealth of information. And underneath it, you're going to see the first step says, take the 3-minute, jump into the 3-minute, take charge of health, body, and mindset evaluation. Why is it 3 minutes? Because you don't have to think. You just got to check a box, and it's going to spit out information as to where you are in your journey and where you want to be. And what happens is you're going to hear from a body temple coach. A body temple coach. You know what I'm going to do? Chantel, I'm going to ask Lynn, the first 20 that jump into the Kickstart Detox program and do the 3-minute evaluation. I'm going to have Lynn. We're going to have Lynn. Like, Lynn, you think I'm good or okay? Lynn's incredible, like over the top. Like, she is my master mentor for health. But when you do that 3-minute evaluation, you're going to know where you're at. And then she will challenge you to watch the 43-minute video before she does what's called a take charge of your health breakthrough session. And she's going to give you 45 minutes of her time and support you. So we've got a lot of body temple coaches, but I'll just say the first 20 that jump into that, Lynn's going to be your coach.
I love it. Well, this has been amazing. And I do want to encourage you guys, if you are listening, to really up your walking. I try to do a 3-mile walk every day, sometimes twice a day. And I will tell you that will head off an anti-inflammatory response in your body and to increase your fasting window. Try to do some longer fasting someday, and then kind of change up that eating window. So this has been amazing. Tell listeners where they can find you and where they can follow you. And gang, I will put all of these links that he's talked about will be in the show notes. So definitely.
I can give you the site, but you know what I don't? What happens when I give people the site, they go into the site and a lot of people buy product and then they go to the Body Temple or the Kickstart Detox plan and realize they could get got it at 35% off. Just start with going to bodytemplekickstart.com, bodytemplekickstart.com. If you're interested in hearing about how CBDs can completely change your health and what to look for before you buy a CBD product. The second link in the show notes will lead you to my interview with Sheila Golligly, world-renowned formulator and healer.
Love it. Well, you guys stay tuned. We've got another episode coming up in just a few. Bye-bye for now.